Right, so there was a Warno buffs and nerfs patch. I said I'd go through the patch notes. There was also like a ranked season voting and stuff. I covered that in a separate video. This is just the patch notes. So, first of all, the hotfix. So, it doesn't really matter. It's just about something to do with modding. Anyway, the other patch notes will be in the next video. So essentially, all the HE MLRS, so that's Rocket, like the Grad and so on, got buffed, which I think is good. The Grad probably didn't need the buff, but the things like the Eurogun and the M270 HE, they were kind of bad, and frankly, I think they kind of still are. The damage has only gone up by 10%. There's something very strange going on with the way the artillery works, especially the MLRS, right? So you've got a Grad, 122mm. I mean, the Grad's the big winner here because it was already really good, and now it's better. 122mm with the buff is 1.34 HE. Okay, so if we get a 120mm mortar, it has 1.53 HE. And if we get a 122mm howitzer, it has 2.2 HE. But the big rocket on a stick, the HE is very, very low. And so I think they could go a lot further with this. The Grad is honestly pretty good, especially now, but something like the Lars I think is still kind of bad. Can be situationally useful. The M270 HE, the cluster ones are really good. The HE one, like, it's just like 2.5 HE on a 180-second reload, and it fires really slowly. I don't really think it's worth it. The splash is harder to quantify. If the splash has gone up by 20%, the radius has gone up by 20%. That's bigger than a 20%. I've got to learn you some maths, right? So the radius is the I know some of you are going to say Hippie. I obviously know this. Trust me, man. There's some very, very stupid people. The radius is from the center to the edge, right? And if you imagine this is looking top down at the explosion crater, right? The area is pi, which is 3, times by radius squared. So 3 times 1 squared is 3. Okay, but 3 times 1.2 squared is, I could probably do this in my head, but I don't, whatever. Is 4.32, right? So when they increase the radius by 20%, it's actually a percentage difference of 4.32 minus 3 divided by 3 times by 100, which is 44% increase, right? So it's worth talking about. So it's not a 20% increase, it's a 44% increase in the area of the explosion. So that's good. There's another problem with the way with the scaling works, which I don't know if they've fixed yet, where essentially the gradient. How am I going to do this in a way you understand? So imagine coming out of the page, there's a separate axis, right? It's not linear in terms of the damage here at the halfway point is not 50% of the damage here at the middle, right? This isn't half, okay? And then this is 0. It's not really how it works. It kind of shrinks very rapidly from what I remember, and then, so it's difficult to quantify, basically. Regardless, it's a step in the right direction. They can always change it again in the next patch. I'm a patient man. I'm not really. The Rover Milan units had the airlifter trait instead of the airlift trait. The way these traits work is that they manually when they assign this trait, it doesn't actually mean it has that behavior. This is like a cosmetic thing. It's like me walking around with, I'm smart on my shirt. It doesn't make me smart, it just means I have I'm smart on my shirt, right? So these could not pick up, because they used to have the airlifter trait, right? That doesn't mean that they could just go and pick up something else and carry them away. Okay, it just means they got the cosmetic wrong, right? So yes, these can be airlifted. It's the same for these ones, by the way. So there are things that say they're static only that can fire on the move. Unarmed military police vehicles are no longer automatically sold. That's such a nice quality of life feature. So when you get military police, they always come with a now they didn't used to. They always come with like a military police vehicle, right? And the military police vehicle is super useful because you put it with your reservist and even just your normal tanks, and it will increase the suppression regeneration. It's a lot more useful to put them with the reservist because it removes the reservist trait. But if you put it with a normal tank, it will also increase the suppression regeneration. So it's nice to have one near your supply. So let's say your tank goes forward to get shot a few times. On red cohesion, I have to go back because now I do like 12% of the damage that I did before. You'll get your cohesion back faster if there's a military police vehicle there. So it can be worth bringing military police a lot of times for that reason. But the car on the left and the car on the right would automatically sell themselves if you had auto sell on, which was really annoying because you would lose your military police vehicles unless you switched every single one of them off on the auto sell. So that's a nice change. That's a nice change. Fixed a crash related to a movement order. I don't know anything about that. Improved smart orders for aircraft. I don't use the smart orders. Those are those like circles that you can place and it says like hold this area and it will, you know. Correction of 2 official decks that were not complete, 35th US and 4th ZMech Polish. So basically I've got them hidden, right? They actually have like pre-made battle groups for all of the divs. And frankly, they're not that bad. Like, this one's pretty good, actually. 2 cards of gunners. Is the SMAR in there? It is. Okay. So they're not bad. They're usually not perfect because the meta shifts and the deck doesn't. But basically, whenever they change something in a division or in a deck, it tends to break the pre-made decks. So some of them got really bad at one point, but they seem to be on top of it now. Honestly, if you're using the pre-made decks, probably shouldn't be doing that. Probably shouldn't be doing that. There's a reason I've got them hidden. Fixed clipping on infantry hood models from the Nemesis 7 DLC. Yes, this was actually a problem I reported. I wasn't the only one. I'm sure lots of people noticed it. So these guys have the balaclavas, and before this patch... well, they're still doing it on the logo. Do you notice the logo keeps flickering? It depends. If you're watching this on your phone, you probably won't see it. And that's because because I make games as well. I have a game on Steam. A little bit less successful than Warno, but its review score percentage is higher. They've put 2 different textures in exactly the same place. And they haven't said that one should always get priority over the other. So they're passing each other by like 1 pixel, right? So they basically need to just assign a priority. Obviously, it depends on your engine. But yeah, before this patch, they used to, like, the faces would flicker horrendously because the balaclava would clip through the face. It's still happening a little bit here, but for the most part, that's fixed. Improved vehicle wreck behavior on roads and bridges when a vehicle pushes a wreck. That disappears to avoid blocking traffic. Yeah, so basically there's a lot of maps with very narrow bridges. Typically, these aren't in... I don't think any of these are in the 1v1 rotation. Oh, well, I suppose you could count the rivers on the left side of Mount River Duel, the bridges there. But basically, 10v10s, game starts, Napalm Arty hits this, blows up a bunch of vehicles, and then the rest of them just get stuck, and they start trying to push each other, and they push each other really, really slowly, and then the next round of Napalm Arty kills them. So it's a good fix for the 10v10ers. And the team game players, 1v1ers probably won't notice simply because there's very few bridge maps in 1v1. The Wessex HTC2 model is fixed. It was missing a left side machine gun. Okay. Oh, okay, so this only had 1 machine gun before, and I guess this one wasn't there. Only this one was there. So that does actually, that's a small buff, depending on whether or not this was already Like, if there actually is an extra weapon, it might have just been it was firing from air. But anyway, it's a buff because now you've got more bullets. And you can sell these, which is a good thing. Fix and rework ESR GVP's unit pictures. This has been the case for a long time. So this has... Oh, they've actually updated his face as well. That is very, very scary. But basically, it didn't used to have the parachute icon despite being airborne forward deployed. Fix and rework dismount troopers unit picture. Alright, I mean the face is different, but I don't know what was wrong with it before apart from that. That's interesting actually, you know, you gotta do some think. Do some think. You know, when something like this suddenly gets a new profile picture, it makes me think behind the scenes maybe there's going to be another British division down the road. It could just be they just saw it was bad and fixed it, but you know, I'm doing so like this one changed as well. I don't have any inside information on that. If I did, I wouldn't actually be able to talk about it. So anyway, some modding stuff. Modding this game is kind of difficult because a lot of the under the hood data things just change on a whim and it like deletes all your mod, so it's just kind of hard to do modding. Yeah. So get to NATO forces. So general NATO changes. It's a shame because so these are generated by like a computer script or something. So even though that this is a HDR unit, it comes in at the top and then you actually get to HDR down here. So we do have to just separate it into NATO and PACT. It's probably worth me thanking the generous channel joiners, generously joining the channel. Put the names on the screen, they get the videos early. They get NATO exclusive videos, members exclusive videos. One join at the lowest level is worth 2,000 views. This is my sole source of income. That's why I shill so hard. So yeah, the Sea Knight had a 50 cal replaced by an M219. So that is the second Marine unit, and that's still a 50 cal, and I'm pretty sure it's still got the same stats as a 50 cal. So that's probably just the words. I'm trying to think of another Hilo which has a 50 cal on the door. Because the Chinook is like a minigun, the Black Hawk is an M240, the British ones, there is a Lynx with a 50 cal IRL, and because the Hilo one and the plane one aren't the same, so I can't compare. Sorry, the Hilo one and the ground-based one aren't the same. There was a Lynx used in, you know when, was that place Tony Blair invaded before the Middle East ones? Was it Sierra Leone? They used 50 cals on the Lynxes, so it is possible to have 50 cal Lynxes, but whatever. I don't think they have them in the game. They definitely don't have them in the game. So this is a change that's not in the patch notes. All of the TRM things got better. So the thermobaric bombs used to have like really low HE. The way these work is that they do less against vehicles, but they ignore cover because it's thermobaric. The idea is it burns up all the oxygen and then collapses your lungs. Really lovely, but obviously, you know, getting shot by bullets isn't particularly fun either. And so there was no reason to bring them because they used to have just half the HE value of the regular bombs. But the idea is it ignores cover, so against buildings it does the same amount. But it doesn't make any sense because the regular bombs will always do that amount, and they do more against tanks and stuff. So why would you ever bring the TRM? This was a problem for a very long time. So they fixed it, I guess. A, B, A, B. So, and then they increased the price. So there's still no point in bringing it. Great change, guys. Let's increase the price as well while we're at it. So there's still no point in bringing it. Because the one on the left, the HE did go up. But the one on the right is still better. So they're getting there. Give them another couple of years and maybe, you know. So this is a bad change, basically. The change that isn't written down to buff the HE, that's a good change. The change to increase the price is a bad change. Assault Pioneers Carl Gustav renamed Assault Pioneers Carl Gustav without the dot. That is the British one. Sort of a useless unit. It's the advantage is it has shock, but this Carl Gustav doesn't shoot HE, right? So the advantage is it has shock. So it's sort of like the West German Pioneer Carl Gustav, which for 5 points more gets 2 more guys, so that's obviously way better, and it comes in a better transport. The British one is just bad. And the reason is that they're like, whoa, well, it should be 5 points less than the rifles because of the lore 80. So yeah, if you bring this, you're at full. It'll probably cost 5 points less, but then it's just better arm rifles. Oh no, hang on, they're 40. Okay. Yeah, I think it should cost 45, but then they'll say plus better AT, shock, one more guy should be 10 more points. But when you're comparing things relatively like this, then you just look over the corridor and then you've got like this, the Pioneer Carl Gustav I bring on every div that gets it, because it's 55 points for 10 guys. Whereas the one on the right costs less, but it's 8 guys, so I think the one on the right, sorry, should be 45. Anyway, the Pioneer Carl Gustav HE, so these things are really kind of broken. The Carl Gustav that fires HE is way too cheap, way too available. But they changed the name at least, so that's cool. So yeah, they're still the same price from what I understand. The thing is, like, a lot of these changes take time. There's like a... Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen next, of course not. But there's like a pipeline of, you know, from when a problem gets identified to when it gets fixed. So it's always, whenever a patch comes out, whatever the latest broken thing is tends not to have been fixed in that patch. It gets fixed in the next one. And so that, because there's no nerf to Pioneer Flam, which are broken, and there's no nerf to these Pioneer HEs, which are broken. So that's a shame. So yeah, that's the Canadian one. Kind of does like an S-tier div at the moment, by the way. And the Danish ones, Jyski and Erster, have had their names changed, but they're still the same. Gigging got buffed, which is good. The smoke got replaced by flashbang. So I should probably do a separate video testing these. Before they were just shit. What I would have liked to have seen was the smoke and the flashbang, but I don't know, the way Eugen works is very strange. They're like, I don't know, I mean, I guess I play their game more than they do, because developing a game and playing the game aren't the same thing. But basically the way the flashbang works is it's like the Broken Arrow one, so it doesn't do any HE, just does loads of suppression. So it is just a satchel, but with way more suppression, but without the HE. I think it's only more accurate because of the vet. No, it is slightly more... Oh no, because it's special force, it is because of the vet. You have 500 cohesion mana, suppression mana, whatever, so the flashbang will immediately nerf you to 0 cohesion. The way routes work are on a RNG, which is a shame. But yeah, so yeah, I think the Gigan are probably better now, but they lost the smoke, so it's hard for them to get into position to use the flashbang. The idea was supposed to be they're like the ultimate door kicker squad, but I don't know, they're like, well, I don't know why they removed the smoke. So guards from HDR, so they were renamed Guards Leader. They've had their health go down to 4, their price go down by 15, and their availability go up to 3, and the smoke removed. Now, the reason for this is that if you look at HDR, it used to be that these guards were just a stat clone of the Rifles Leader, except the Guards Leader cost 5 points more for no reason. Like, they just used to be the same, except Guards Leader had Resolute, which is supposed to be free, and it costs 5 points more. So there was no reason to bring Guards Leader. Now that it's been put as a 4 HP 3 availability CV, there's actually some utility to it. I probably still wouldn't bring this because I bring like 2 cards of this and this, so I've got enough CVs. But it can actually be useful because you would buy Also, this just comes in a way better transport because this has smoke and 2 armor and so on, and it's faster on the road. But this is actually a useful choice now. It's actually an interesting choice now. So that's a good change. And yeah, the Air Mobile Terriers, the Wessex, may or may not have an extra gun. Heimatjäger renamed. Alright, whatever. So I guess they want to add another Heimatjäger squad, otherwise they won't do that. You would assume. Why else would they do that? And maybe there's going to be a Heimatjäger Panzerfaust 44 or something. Jager from Jyski had their availability double, but their vet went down. And I think there's only one card now. This basically, if you brought both cards of Jager, you would just run out of infantry. Because it was like 3-3. Now it's 6-4, so that card is buffed, but there's only one card. But the thing is, you don't want 2 cards of them anyway. So it is overall a buff, because, yeah, I mean, I was in a tournament game against somebody and they picked Jyski, and I remember saying to my colleague, this guy's going to run out of infantry after 30 minutes. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So that is a good change. Lay Scouts, USMC Scouts, these are the ones that come in the lav. Their price has gone down by 5, thus making that total combination 5 points cheaper. There's my USMC deck. So this used to be 110, now it's 1.5 because these guys are 35. It's 4 dudes without AT, so I think 35 is more appropriate. Should probably be 30 actually, because US Scouts are what? 25 for 4 dudes, but the weapons are worse. So the LIA Scout should be 30. It's Resolute's supposed to be free, and you get, what, a DMR? So an extra machine gun. It should be 30. So they should come down another 5, actually. Interesting. Because they don't have AT, which is it is a really big problem. All of the 1-2-2s got their availability went down to 3. So this is the 1-2-2 in Warno, which at the moment is broken because of the Zappadors. Because none of the Zappador prices went up, and the SMGs are crazy because they were all priced really cheap because the SMGs were bad and like they have better availability and stuff. And they get 3 cards of Zappadors, so you just spam out all the Zappadors. The CV is inconsequential, but you just spam out all the Zappadors and win. So even though this div is bad, at the moment it's good. But it's because those units are overperforming. It's just, yeah, whatever. So yeah, the Cannon 122 is basically their 122mm, and for whatever reason, it had, you know, it was the same price despite having 10 kilometers more range, which obviously makes it a lot better for like counter battery and stuff. All the 122s were broken. Because of the 4 availability. It was like you basically just always bring these, and they come on so many Soviet divs. So there was like not much reason to bring other artillery, because you just get 4 of these, and then, you know, pew pew pew. But yes, this one was also too cheap. So now they're a little bit less available. The 140mm. Which one's that? Oh, the British one. Yeah, I mean, this kind of sucks. So I understand why the availability went up and the price went down, because there's not much reason to bring it. I just bring the AS90 and some smoke, and the quickfire 25-pounder, so it's good that... also, it was like the only one that didn't have 2 front armor or something. So yeah, that got buff. So yeah, Bueno... Still strong because the Zappadors, like I said, the patches tend to be kind of one step behind the meta because they have to identify the problem and then they have to fix it. And if the patch comes out during that pipeline, then obviously those changes won't make it in. And there's always changes coming. So I see this and I just see what needs fixing, and it's not really their fault because obviously you got to have the cutoff at some point. So there are nice changes. There are buffs to Paris, there are buffs to Dom 100, both of which needed buffs. but there are certain other things which could be changed, such as a lot of the SMG units are kind of crazy. So the Paris Giggin got buffed. The availability went from 4 to 6 as well. I think, did they get a second card, or did they always have that? So now you can bring them at, I would probably bring that at max vet. Although, because the max vet makes the accuracy better, and it makes the reload time better, but it doesn't make the shot, but the accuracy is already very high, and it doesn't make the, because the way the reload time works is you fire 6 bullets, and that's in a set thing, and then you reload, and then you fire 6 more bullets, because that's the salvo length. So if you make the vet higher, the fire rate doesn't actually go up that much. You see it's only gone up by 7, although this lies a lot. It's only gone up by 7 there, because of the time between the shots, so it might not be so worth it to up there. But yeah, Paris also got the Minstrel, something I and various other people pointed out. Sorry, I know you can hear that motorbike. I live in a third world country. So Berlin is defended by minstrels, but Paris isn't defended by minstrels. And it's like an urban... it's supposed to be like a capital defense division, and they don't have man-pads for an urban environment. So it's good that they added the minstrels, because frankly the Crotal is not very good. This div could get air bullied quite a bit, actually. It's funny because the div air bullies, but the div can also be air bullied. So it's that is quite a funny dynamic, actually. Because you see people, it's always so funny. They're like, "Oh, I played this, and 6th West German air spammed me. Oh no!" It's almost like you're also an air spam div, but it's okay. It's okay when you do it. But yeah, the Crow is not very good. The range isn't great, and so it's nice to have the Minstrel. So I would swap out this for the Minstrel now, and I wouldn't bring it in the VAB T20 because this is not very good because of low accuracy, and I've got this for Spag, which is very good because of the high accuracy, and I'm pretty sure it's got range is the same. So there you go. That's my change. I made a pro guide for Paris. It's still in members early access, and now it's out of date. That's cool. Anyway, now we get to the PACT forces. So the PT-76s had their stealth go to mediocre. Very nice change. Because it's kind of dumb. Like, this is just crap. And yeah, mediocre stealth makes sense because the same thing was done for MBAD. So MBAD used to be bad. That's why we called it that. It's not anymore. It's just the name stuck. And so the Scimitar, because the Recon Nebre, whatever, has mediocre stealth or good... The Recon one has mediocre stealth, but the tank one has bad stealth. And there's certain units that are like that and certain units which aren't. But the point is that, like, why was this bad stealth? But the Parascorpion, which is actually worse in a lot of ways, because of the way the gun works. It's actually very unfair now because of the stealth change. But it's got the smoke and the extra armor and it's faster, right? But so it's not actually that unfair. But anyway, it is a little bit bigger, but it's kind of stealthy. It should be stealthy. Did they fix the SD-100 thing? No. Okay. That used to have mediocre stealth as well. So all the PT-76s had their stealth go up to mediocre. The T-34 got buffed. And it's not much of a buff. They also changed the fire rate, but that's not on here. This is why you watch the patch notes, I suppose. A lot of the changes just aren't in. So basically, there's like different historical accuracy nerds, and you know, they're all going to be up against the wall when I become dictator for life. But they do disagree with each other, and some of them are just like incredibly biased. It's really, really something. It's like you can guess where they're born from what units they think are good. Anyway, so one of the the angel on my left shoulder says that this in the Cold War the T-34 was super upgraded, and it was actually just like way better than it was in World War Two. The angel on my right shoulder says they only changed the engine and everything else was basically the same, and so it doesn't make sense to give it really good stats. I don't really care. Uh, but the thing is, the thing I always bring up to these history people, but sadly, second order thinking isn't taught on history courses, right? What happens when I do this, right? It's just not, when you buff these units to make them good, the price goes up to account for the buff, and then they become bad because now it costs too much. So the rate of fire has gone up, the range has gone up, the pen has gone up, the accuracy has gone up, but the price has gone up. And so now it's worse than it was before, because when it was cheaper, the whole point. Also, the gun was kinetic, which meant that you could get right up to people and then point blank them and it would do a lot of damage. Now it's the same at every range. It used to be that this was basically a sacrificial pawn. You send it forwards, it gets shot, the guy behind it kills the guy. Now, there's a limited utility to that because it doesn't come on any divisions that actually have good tanks. The best one's KDA, where you wouldn't bring it. But basically the idea is it's like a saturation unit. Have fun shooting all this while I kill all your tanks. Now, it's still bad at shooting at things. It's better at shooting at things, but it's still bad at shooting at things. But the price has gone up to account for the fact that now it's better at shooting at things. So whereas before it was a saturation unit which had utility, now it's a pointless unit. But they just don't get it. They're like, oh, it should be gun get better. It's very strange. Anyway, if you've been to university, you meet the historians and you know why they are the way they are. They're usually on CARE or something. Anyway, all the T-62s in Don 100 got buffed by 10 points. Now, I can't talk about, who's responsible for what changes, but this is obviously a good change. Because the T-62s... Ah, shit. The point is, right, everybody, they click on the tank, and because you're only human after all, don't put your blame on me. They see the big green 11, the big green 18, and they're like, whoa, it's really good. They sort of miss out this small number 6 here, and the very low accuracy. So you have a tank, which takes 2 hits to kill anything, it's slow, it doesn't have smoke, its accuracy is less than 50%. You bring it at 1 verse, it's 50%. And it fires once every 10 seconds. So if this goes up against a Marder 1A3 Milan, or this one with like 18 heat, wowee, it will take on average 4 shots to kill the Marder 1A3 Milan. Okay. And that's before the Marder of 1A3 Milan fires a Milan at it, nukes its cohesion and puts its rate of fire on like 4. And its accuracy to like 20%. So you have to close distance without smoke, without high speed, with low accuracy. Right, so you have to close the distance. They're shooting at you because you've got less range. Just imagine it's another tank. And then you get there. You can't disengage, but usually he can because he's got smoke or he's faster or whatever. And you have to sit there and shoot at him for 40 seconds to kill 1 IFV. But people just see the big 18 and they're like, my goodness, man, the T50 is so much better. The number is too higher. It's a different colour. Just completely missing out the fact that the one on the left shoots 25% faster, which is a really big deal. So yeah, it's good that they buffed them. It's very good that they buffed them, and Dom 100 is actually a pretty decent div now. Whereas before it was like smack, 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 smack. Anyway, then we see a bunch of buffs for. Okay, that's really funny. That is really funny. That's so funny. Anyway, it's because the vets are different. Basically, in the last patch, somebody with just obscene intelligence that can never be replicated in the world decided that 2nd Panzergren should get 12 per card forward deployed MMG teams. Whereas they were intentionally lower before because 2nd Panzergren's broken. And so my decks keep getting nuked and stuff, but basically you just bring this one now, right? Anyway, this is actually the East German one, which has now been brought to match it. It doesn't actually matter because you want to bring the grenade launcher anyway. So, like, this it is worth taking over this one, right? But you might as well just bring the grenade launcher. I bring the SPG-9 as well for a little bit of, you know, whatever. So yeah, that's the East German one. But anyway, SU-17. So this is the TRMs became good, but actually no, they didn't because the prices went up. So this one isn't as bad actually. This is actually a nice comparison, where now the one on the right has a use case, which is that actually against infantry and buildings it's way better, but against vehicles it's way worse. So it's not like the Harrier one where they just say, I'm helping, and then they just make it useless again. You know, one step forward, one step back. One hop this time, you know. Bop it. So, no, wrong game. Anyway, the one on the right now has a use case. I still wouldn't bring it, because there's not really many instances where you need 15 HE. Given that the bombs all overlap, you probably want the one that's going to do more to vehicles. So I think the one on the left's still better, but the one on the right is no longer, I'm throwing, right. But that Harrier one was pretty funny. Anyway, the Formosa, that's in, so 15th ZMech does suck, so it's starting to get some buffs now. So the Formosa got cheaper. I do remember when 15th ZMech got announced, there's a lot of very opinionated pro players when on record, you can find the post if you want, saying 15th ZMech is broken, no one will, what's the point in playing 4th Polish ever again after this div comes out? And then it came out, they played it once or twice, and they're like, wow, this div's shit. And they didn't touch it again. Because it is. So, yeah, it's good that this is getting a bit cheaper. And, you know, with the SMGs being more useful now, although I can't remember if that was the patch this div came out. I think it was the patch after. Anyway, it's a good unit now. The issue is this goes at 90 instead of 100, because it's a boat. That's the 4th. Mordschutz and Fallschirmjäger. Wusu got cheaper. This was just like a... they were just a bit overpriced for 9 dudes with guns. Without AT and stuff, because if you compare them to like Okrana and stuff... So that's 10 dudes, and it's 45. So that makes a lot more sense now than it used to. Right, obviously the military police thing. But before they were like 45 and... So, yeah. So it's a good change. BM14M base availability increased 1 to 2, so this is a good change. So this thing kind of sucks. And now you get 2 of them in a card, similar to the Grad V, because that is what it is most similar to, or the Lars. And the HE got buffed a bit. Also, it fires smoke, which I have... There was... Somebody told me to play the Div, like 17Y, and that game's on the channel somewhere, depending on what order these come out. And I brought it... I brought them up vetted. They're still not amazing, frankly. But the big utility is that it fires smoke. So you can, you know, because given the way 17Y works, which is like flying columns of T-64Rs backed by OSAs and Shilkas and, you know, BRM-1Ks and stuff, and then once you take a zone, you flood that with Resonvisty, but you have lobs in the next zone. Having an MLRS smoke is actually really useful. because it means that you can get your flying column in really fast. So there you go, it fires smoke, so it might have a good use case. But I played the div twice, and I'd used the HE, and like 2 of these on a Spetsnaz squad that was like here, and they're vetted. It didn't kill the Spetsnaz squad, and I was like, oh, so I think there's still a way to go for these. Honestly, like plus 10% HE, I appreciate their, you know, I'm a patient man. Anyway, so the front armor on some of these arty pieces was 1, and on some of them it was 2. So it's now 2 for all of them. I guess it makes them more resilient to small arms. I'm not really sure how this thing has 2 front armor when it doesn't have a shield, but whatever. Also, it's still 1, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. That definitely says 1, right? I know I'm a bit tired. I don't sleep so well. But no, that says 1 as well. What was the one that went down? the 140mm. That also says 1. So I guess that's just wrong. Anyway, all the 120mm had their availability go down to 3, as we spoke about. So the UR-77, so there was like 2... Is it the 76 or the 78? 77. What's the other one called? Is it 67? Yes. So these were just stat clones of each other, despite the fact that one is on a different chassis. Because they'd obviously, the way they make the units, right, from what I can understand, is they take an existing unit, copy, paste all the values, and, you know, change, and then start changing things. And so if they forget to change something, then it just stays the same. So the fact that these two used to be exactly the same, but like basically like this should probably have less than 1 top armor, and this should probably have 1 top armor. But you know, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, the one on the left's better because it goes faster, but that's probably not worth increasing the price, so it's just better. Wow, power creep. PACT T1200mm price increase to 75. Alright, whatever, man. I mean, I guess it's okay. I don't bring it. I don't think I bring it. It can be nice on the defense because of the range and the pen and the rate of fire. You have it like behind a bush, facing to the side, and when the tanks come past, you just start whacking them at close range with the kinetic rounds. But I don't bring it because there's no point. Why do I have 2 cards of Conkers and Malyuka? Who made this deck? What idiot made this deck? Anyway, this would be an excellent time to bring this instead. But unfortunately, the price went up, so do I really want to do that anymore? Funny how that works, isn't it? Anyway, this is probably pretty decent as infantry fire support at 2-vet. But yeah, this can work as just, oh, you're coming past me, bang! But there's probably a better place for my 2 AP, such as 2 rocket helos, although I get 4 here. This is like the most broken card in the game, it's honestly crazy. Here's your 4 Recon Hinds. What? But yeah, you know, it used to be just, yeah, just bring the D30s, bring the D30s. Now there's actually a reason to perhaps bring this one. So that's a good change. 2 AP slots, I guess I could get 3 CVs. I've already got plenty of CVs, and I don't really need a 4th card of supply, do I? Well, I could bring some more AA. Like I could vet my Cubs and bring the same number of Cubs but have them vetted. Or I could bring a Shilker. Or I could bring these, which are they're nice to have, but usually it takes a back seat to like things you really need. Honestly, this at 2-vet without Shilker or anything is a bit weird, but I guess I've got fighters. Who made this deck? I don't know. Whoever made it's clearly not very smart. Anyway, then we get all the availability go down on the 122s again. This is the 4th Moschutzen Division Fallschirmjäger that we already saw. 15 ZMech and 17Y had the BM14M availability go up. 122s again. Oh, I forgot to mention, I think I sort of skipped over it. Division Du Rhine got a buff. Right. Um, one of its imp slots got cheaper. Good, that div sucks. Yeah, 15th ZMech got some pretty significant slot cost buffs, actually. 2 3 points into 2 1 points is a 4 AP saving, and then they added another tank slot. The div did need the help. It was crap. Frankly, I think it's probably still bad, because it's like, okay, so now you can bring more bad tanks. I mean, it's a divisional identity, right? You know, I'm identifying. Whereas before you couldn't really do that without losing all your AP. So that is a good change. Yeah, all the D20s. All the D20s. All the D20. Oh yeah, Don 100. So I make a 2-hour pro guide going through Don 100, right? And I say in the pro guide, the AT situation on this div sucks balls because your only AT is this 18 pen one, right? So I bring this card in the guides just so I've got an extra AT. And then they add an extra AT unit, which is great for the wider populace. But it means the guide is now out of date. So I'll have to leave a pinned comment. But yes, now I would bring this. It is militia. Its purpose is to shoot vehicles, right? That's the only reason the other guy was in there. A cheap vehicle shooter. I've got that bug again. More 120s. A19 weapon range increased to 25,000 meters. What the hell is the A19? What could that possibly be? It's clearly some sort of artillery piece, right? What goes 25,000... Wait, hang on, was that the... What was the one in Bueno called that I said, wow, that has loads of range? Maybe that was the change. That's probably why the price went up. Something is very wrong here. When was this unit invented? When was this unit invented? The Canon 122-45, Russo 31. A Soviet field gun from 1939 shoots 25,000 meters, which is more than a modern American 155mm howitzer. Does it say the range here? I mean, they'll just say it's wrong. 20 kilometers. No, Wikipedia's wrong, because I was born in the former Soviet Union, and we were just the best at everything. We're just the best at absolutely everything. I went to school, and they taught me that actually we would have won if there was a war. I know we collapsed, but that was because of something else, and we just skip over that. And your country has brown people, so we're just way better than you in Eastern Europe. That's every conversation with an Eastern European ever. My country also has a lot of Eastern Europeans in it. I wonder why. Anyway, the B11. Suppression damage. It's not coming back to me. Oh, it's this. Okay, because yeah, it's like a formula for HE and suppression. It's based linearly off the diameter, which I've said on many occasions. It's the circle thing. It's the circle because of circles. It makes absolutely no sense for the damage to be based linearly off the caliber. Okay, because of the pi r squared thing, right? Pi d4, right? CN F1. This is the Leclerc. Why isn't this in the? It's because it's a computer-generated thing. So the Leclerc, I need like a separate section. The Leclerc has 19 pen and the price didn't go up, I guess. So yeah, the Leclerc was a bit crap. I think it's good that the Paris div's getting buffed and on 100 because At least they've... Because do you remember Nemesis 5? Second check. The worst... just like the most slop, boring division humanly possible. Second check. Let's put in the bare minimum amount of effort. So it's nice to see that they're not doing that. So this is a cool tank now. 1 extra pen, nice to have. People said I want 21. I mean, then the price goes up and the availability goes down, so it's the T-34 argument. M67 recoilless rifle had its suppression go up as well. Yeah, it's... Oh, wait, what? Oh my god, that's... They shouldn't have done that. They're like, oh, the formula! The formula! Completely neglecting the fact that this is the one that comes on those infantry squads. So that's big buffs. Berlin Command has been eating so good recently. Berlin Command, wow. So now it fully suppresses a squad in 4 shots instead of 5. It's a pretty big deal. It means you can fully suppress 2 squads. And the price didn't go up. The formula! Actually, it doesn't... 73 is 110. 90 is... this is the formula. This is the TRM bomb. The thermobaric. This is the T-34 buff. But yes, the SP... The recoilless rifle teams, like the Wombat and stuff, getting higher suppression is very sensible because they are all crap. The recoilless rifle M67 that comes on all these units is actually already one of the strongest tools in the game, and now it's better. So I don't really agree with that one. So yeah, overall, it's definitely a patch. As usual, it's like, yeah, but what about the latest broken thing? That being the Pioneer Flams, the Zappadors, the F-104s are giving people a lot of trouble these days. Although they haven't actually changed, it's just people are getting dumber because of all the, you know, the chemicals they keep putting in the water. They're turning the frogs gay. The frogs have 19 AP now. Anyway, have a lovely day.